Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining. Now, in this session, we are looking at how uniFLOW Online can support shared print services for visitors and walk-in users. We will use a council library example to make the opportunity easier to understand, but the same principles can apply to independent libraries, universities, shared spaces, and other public environments. Now, the focus is on how organizations can support users who are unknown at the start, give them different ways to submit print jobs, manage payment or budget, and release documents securely. So with that, let's start with the example and the customer need behind it. So the council already uses uniFLOW Online internally and now wants to extend print services across 10 public libraries. Now, the main difference is the type of user. Library users, obviously, are not employees, and some may only visit once, so the setup needs to work for occasional or walk-in users. Now, the aim is to make printing easier for the public while giving the library better control over usage, payment, and also support. So with that in mind, let's look at the main concerns. So with shared print services, they create different issues than internal office printing. Libraries may need to support walk-in or occasional users, which can make account setup slow or staff dependent. Payment can also be difficult if there is no clear way to charge users before they print or show them the cost for a job. In addition, security and privacy also needs to be considered. For example, USB drives can introduce malware risks, and documents left open or saved on public PCs can expose personal information. Now, the main aim here is to keep the experience as simple for users as possible while still managing usage, payment, and budget properly. That is where uniFLOW Online comes into its own. So with uniFLOW Online, it helps bring these areas together in one managed approach. Users can get started through options such as a URL or web page, or indeed a QR code, helping reduce the need for staff to manually create every account. For payments, libraries can support either staff managed funds or online top-up options, depending on how they want to run this particular service. Users can then submit their print jobs in several ways, from a public shared PC or from their own device using the web upload, email printing, or the uniFLOW Online print and scan app, or directly from the multifunction device itself using the print from cloud feature. Now, this gives the library a clearer way to manage the service across sign up, payment, job submission, and release. So with that, the next slide shows why this actually matters. For me, this is where the value becomes really clearer. For users, the service is easier to access because they can register, submit jobs, release documents in a more self-service and efficient way. For the library staff, it reduces time spent helping with basic account setup, which can be laborious, and print submission. For the library, the value is better security, less reliance on USB drives, a clearer payment control, and stronger visibility of print activity. Now, this makes the proposition relevant for council library networks and other public environments, as I've mentioned before, where public access to printing still needs to be managed and controlled. So with that, let's define what the service includes at a higher level. So at a high level, this service gives libraries a way, as I've mentioned previously, to support public users outside of the normal staff environment. It brings that self-service account setup, which is very important to the library, multiple job submission methods, which is going to be convenient for the user, authenticated release, which obviously in terms of secure printing, and budget and payment control in one managed model. Now, the main idea is that the users can submit these jobs and release them in different ways, whilst the library manages the process all through uniFLOW Online. So with that, the first account setup option is registration by URL or QR code. So let's have a look at that in more detail. So libraries can give users a simple way to create an account by publishing a sign up URL on a web page or displaying a QR code near the device, service desk, or indeed the printing area. Now, both options help users get started without zero staff intervention in terms of creating every account manually, which would, as I said, be very laborious. The URL may be useful on a library website or in an email, whilst the QR code is useful for a walk-in user using their smartphone, just zapping that QR code and get it into the system. So this makes account setup easier for the user and more manageable for the library uh, moving forward. Now, there's also shared computer version of this process. So let's have a look at that from a PC. So if the user starts from a public PC, they can still be guided into the same controlled account process. So, for example, when Andrew tries to print and is not yet known to uniFLOW Online, he is prompted to create an account. So a pop-up will appear and he will type in the necessary details. He completes the required details and then gains access to his uniFLOW Online dashboard, as you can see on the screen. From there, Andrew can manage his basic settings, set a pin for secure release, and check what he needs before printing. Now, at this point, Andrew, the user is set up as a controlled print user. So 1 minute unknown, and now within uniFLOW Online as a known user. So next, let's move from account setup into payment and funds. So before users can actually print, in many paper print environments, they need sufficient funds in their accounts. So the next step is payment and top up. Now, uniFLOW Online supports two main funding options. The first is managed payment model, where the library staff add funds to the user's account, for example, after taking some cash or a card payment at the actual service desk. Now, the second option is an online top-up model where users can add funds themselves through one of the currently supported payment providers if that option is enabled by the library. Now, this gives the organization flexibility. Some sites may want staff to stay involved in payments, whilst others may prefer a more self-service approach. There is the flexibility. Here, payment is linked to the user's print activity, which is very important, helping the library control costs and avoid unclear and or unpaid usage. So the next point is budget visibility and what happens when funds are not sufficient and enough. So once funds are available, visibility becomes important for both the user and the library. The user can check their available balance and see payment or print activity in uniFLOW Online dashboard. You can also see from the screen once they're actually in the print environment, just to the left, you can see that there is sufficient budget available. And basically, if there isn't, on the other image, you can see there's a message: insufficient budget. So obviously they get notified right at the point of print. So this actually helps the library avoid any unclear or unpaid usage. So once funding is covered, the next area is job submission. So the first option is printing from the public shared PC, which is common in most library environments. So when Andrew submits that print job from the shared computer, the smart client pops up and prompts him to identify himself. Now, this links the job to the correct user, being Andrew, rather than allowing anonymous printing. The job is then sent to Andrew's personal secure print queue, which is what you would expect. At the device, he logs in, reviews the job, checks the cost, and releases it when he is ready. So next, let's look at the options for users working from their own devices. Now, web upload gives users a simple way to submit documents through the uniFLOW Online dashboard. They can upload a file from their laptop, tablet, or phone, and the job is added ready for release at the connected device. The uniFLOW Online Print and Scan app also provides another mobile option. Users can submit documents, files, or images from their phone, then authenticate at the device when they are ready to print. Now, the app also works with budget control in uniFLOW Online, and users can top up through a mobile-friendly web page. Now, both options are useful because they reduce the reliance on shared PCs and USB drives while still keeping the job linked to the correct user, as expected. Now, another option is email printing. So with email printing, this gives users another simple way to send a job from their own device. They send the document as an attachment to the library's designated print email address. uniFLOW Online then processes that attachment and places the job ready for release. Now, this is useful because the user does not need to connect to the library's network or use, again, that USB drive. They can submit the file from a phone, tablet, laptop, or even from another location before actually arriving at the library. How convenient is that? Once the job is ready, the users authenticates at the device, reviews the job and the cost, and release it when they're ready. Nothing changes there. Now, the final submission method is finally directly printing from cloud storage at the multifunctional device. So with Print from Cloud, this gives users a very convenient way to access documents stored in a supported cloud services directly from the multifunctional device. So after authenticating, the user can browse their cloud storage, select the file they want, and adjust available finishing options before release. Now, this helps with cost-aware choices, such as changing color or duplex settings where supported on that device. Now, before printing, the user can check their available budget, as I showed you previously before. After the job is printed, the transaction remains visible in the uniFLOW Online dashboard, so they can keep a good check on their usage and their costs. So now that we have seen the main ways users can register, submit jobs, manage budget, and release documents, let's look at some of these key points just as a review. So for me, the key point is that libraries can give users easier access to printing while still keeping control of security, payment, and usage. Now, the main points are self-service account setup, safer submission options, secure release, and clear budget control. Now, this is useful for any customer that needs printing for visitors, walking users, or shared public spaces. So with that, let's have a look at the subscription information required to make this solution happen. Now, as you can see, the functionality we have discussed in this session is possible with the Cloud Print and Scan subscription. Now, this includes public PC printing, email printing, print from cloud, the uniFLOW Online Print and Scan app, and cost tracking, all the components that you need. The key thing for sales is to check the correct subscription type, device type, and supported features before confirming the final customer position. For anything outside of these areas, such as copying, use the latest technical data sheet as the reference point, the go-to point. So we will finish with the frequently asked questions. Now, as you can see, this table just summarizes, I'm not going to go through them all, it just summarizes the common questions sales may ask themselves or that a customer may ask you during a conversation about this type of service. The questions reflect the main areas covered in the webinar, who it's for, how new users are registered, how users submit jobs, how payments and budgets are handled, and how secure release actually works. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The final point is important. Before confirming a customer proposal, always check the latest product documentation for the subscription, device type, and supported features, and have a conversation with your pre-sales consultant to put together the requirements for this particular solution. So with that, that brings us to the close. Thank you for joining today. I really do appreciate your time. We have looked at how uniFLOW Online can support shared print services in environments such as council libraries, where public users need a simple and effective and controlled way to print. So again, before positioning with your customer, confirm the final subscriptions, device type and supported features against the latest technical data sheets. So again, thank you for your time, and I will see you on the next one.